Today's United Methodist women come from a long tradition of bold women who sacrificed personal comfort to provide opportunity for others. In 1939, the Women's Society of Christian Service, the foremothers of United Methodist Women, embarked on a mission to change a racist mindset and belief among members within the Methodist Church. That year, when three Methodist denominations from northern and southern states merged into one, the central jurisdiction was formed to segregate Methodist African Americans from the rest of the church. How do you change a mindset? With love, kindness, conversation, persistence, and patience, it took this bold group of women more than 40 years to transform racist behaviors and attitudes embedded deep within the church. But their bold belief in racial equality came at a cost. Many of the women were persecuted, challenged, and ostracized by neighbors, friends, and family. Mary McLeod Bethune, the founder of Bethune-Cookman University in Daytona Beach, Florida, was threatened by the Ku Klux Klan because of her efforts in organizing African Americans in her community to vote. Years later, she was called out as a communist in hopes of silencing her efforts for racial and gender equality. The women led by example, and in 1942, they voted with their wallets and moved the First National Assembly of Methodist Women from a racially segregated St. Louis, Missouri, to Columbus, Ohio, where hotels would accommodate African American women. The women disproved the belief in separate but equal with facts, information, and truth. In the late 1940s, they commissioned Pauli Murray to investigate the racist laws of segregation and discrimination. This research led to the publication of a 750-page book, States' Laws on Race and Color. The book became a key source in the legal struggle for racial integration, and it was even referenced in the historic U.S. Supreme Court case Brown v. Board of Education. Their bold quest for dignity and justice for all people led them to draft and adopt the Charter on Racial Policies in 1952. This charter defined racism and committed to the elimination of institutional racism. When the Women's Division asked Methodist conferences and jurisdictions to ratify the charter, the women were ignored and pushed to abandon their cause. But the women pushed back with petitions, revised the charter, and expanded their efforts. The Women's Division drew its strength internally from their Black sisters, whose patience and unwavering expression of love in the face of adversity was exemplary to all members. These Black women stood tall as their church community told them they were not wanted. Though they were denied equal opportunities, these sisters braved uncomfortable situations to provide their white brethren the opportunity for conversation, fellowship, and to witness their humanity. The Women's Division persisted, joining in demonstrations and calling for the abolition of the segregated central jurisdiction. They celebrated when, after almost 30 years of persistence, the central jurisdiction was disbanded in 1968. It would take 12 more years of unwavering commitment and bold action until the third version of the Charter for Racial Justice was adopted by the entire denomination in 1980, affirming the United Methodist Church's commitment to undoing systemic racism. Today, United Methodist women continue that fight for racial equality through education, discussion, and exercising their right to vote to ensure equal and basic rights for all. We celebrate all women involved in the fight for racial equality and 150 years of bold United Methodist women in action.